I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, I'd like to call the regular board meeting for August 14th to order. I'd like to make a motion to call the regular board meeting.
You don't need a second.
Okay, perfect. I'd like to make a motion to adopt the agenda
I was
as,
going to add that
we need to make a change to the agenda
for donation.
for donation under new business. It'll be right after the budget update. Thanks for the reminder.
Yeah.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt the agenda as presented with the updates.
Second.
Linton,
Aye.
Peterson,
Aye.
Heppenstall,
Aye.
Blomeyer,
Aye.
Fagan,
Aye.
Tice.
Aye.
All right, delegation?
Nope.
No delegation. Does anyone have any questions about the regular board meetings that were sent out? Just a review of them. Any correspondence?
We do have two correspondence. I apologize, I left my backpack at home, so I don't have the cards, the thank you cards that were sent. But Kim Dayhoff provided a thank you card to thank Mrs. Jenkins and Mrs. Smith and myself for providing transportation for the cosmetology kids this summer. So she was just appreciative of that, so have that. And then Darcy Keefe submitted a thank you card to the board for allowing her to go to a counselor conference that she went to in Kansas City, a 3-day conference, and she really got a lot out of it. And so she appreciates the opportunity to do that. So I apologize for not having those cards, but I walked off without my backpack and they're sitting in there. So, but they do want to thank you guys for your support of that, so.
All right. Anyone have any questions about the treasurer's report that was sent out? Any concerns? See the locker rooms got paid out.
Yeah, so got some of that going. So see a couple principal that Bond A, 2012A, we should be finishing out the payment on that this year. So that should finish that payment out. So we'll just have the one bond left moving in, and we'll give some information about that in the budget, talk about that. So that payment was made for both those, but 2012A will be paid off. And we'll just have the 2012B to finish out on that. And also the first assessment is there for 3 Lakes, so it's included in these bills. So big ticket items for that.
We did not end up with the 5th assessment, right?
As of right now, there's not.
Okay.
There's just some conversations of possibilities, just depending on a few things with students that might happen. But as of right now, they're not assessing a 5th assessment.
I mean, for last year.
Oh, not last, sorry, yeah, last year, no, sorry.
Sorry, Ted, did you say that we're done paying Bond A and we're still paying Bond B, or vice versa?
Bond A is completed with this payment.
A is completed,
Yeah.
we're still paying Bond B.
Yeah.
All right, any other questions about the treasurer's reports? See no petty cash. And then, does anyone have any questions before we move on? No? All right. I'd like to make a motion to adopt the agenda minutes from the regular board meeting from July 10th, 2024, to approve the treasurer's report of July 31st, 2024. There's no petty cash to reimburse, and then payment of bills that are allowed in the amount of $1,270,374.15 for August 14th, 2024, and the July 2024 payroll in the amount of $103,894.28.
Second.
Heppenstall,
Aye.
Peterson,
Aye.
Tice,
Aye.
Fagan,
Aye.
Linton,
Aye.
Blomeyer.
Aye.
All right, so we're gonna go take a field trip and we're gonna go check out the locker rooms.
Check out the progress on that, so.
We'll be back.
On the tour?
Yep, going on too. I like that.
Cool on a
Meet that. All right, we are back. Thanks for the tour.
Yeah,
It looks
so
nice.
hopefully, hopefully it's done by the end of next week. I don't think it's gonna get done this week. But wanted to wish we would have done the girls' side first because of volleyball, going on, but we didn't think about that till after the fact. So, but they're getting the boys done and then they'll move over to the girls' side, so.
It's looking good. Thank you for the tour.
Yeah.
Excited for that. I'm sure the PE teacher, gym teachers are excited for it.
Yeah, so,
All right, budget update information.
okay. Are you sure?
Oh, just kidding. Gotcha.
That's what happens when I forget my life. Did you do something special?
Nope, you might turn it off and turn it back on. That's what I do and it usually works. I just plugged it in, the HDMI. You have the right cord, right?
I don't know, that's one. It's on HDMI. This is probably gonna help.
No, thank you.
You want me to get you the other HDMI cord and see if it's that one? See if it's the cord?
Different ones.
There it goes.
There it goes.
Great. Just trying to give up on it, it's gonna work. Okay, so, this is for budget information. We're not taking any action tonight, just have a discussion, kind of where it's at, to provide for you as we do that. So, next month we'll be having a hearing on R&R and the budget and going through that, and it'll be officially approved next month. So just want to review a couple things before we get into the nuts and bolts of the budget. This is our strategic plan, just kind of a flow through. We spent some time yesterday kind of reviewing this and getting feedback as it relates to our accreditation from the staff. But we have our mission vision updated in there, and then our board goals and the Kansas candidate outcomes that we have to answer. KSD's added a little wrinkle to this through accreditation, which is their fundamentals. So we'll have to figure out a way maybe how to put those in there, but as we go through this action plan building for accreditation, we'll figure that out at some other point. But there's 4 fundamentals that's going to be a focus for accreditation, which includes structured literacy, balanced assessment, standards alignment, and high quality instruction. Those are the 4 fundamentals that we'll have to put in there. So we got some good feedback from the staff yesterday to help give us some guidance for our district leadership team to put that together. But this is kind of the purpose of why we do our business right now with our board. So just to give you some information and context of things, this is enrollment. As you can see, last year we ended up with 692 head count. Head count is just the number of heads that we have in the building. That's why they call it head count. But FTE is full-time equivalency, and there's factors in there like preschool kids only count a half. They don't count a full one. So that's where you get some of the discrepancies between head count and FTE. And our budget is based on FTE. The numbers in the Form 150 that come out of that make that factor in there that we go through there. So we have our staff numbers and that are there for you to understand. And then you can just see kind of what the head count's been over the last 10 years, which is an average of 688. So it's been pretty flat. I would call it flat if I were to call it that. We've had some dips and ups and downs, but overall it's been pretty flat for what I have. So then again, looking at our audit that we had, our enrollment was, our FTE that we based things on was 667. Total number of preschools was 46, so you cut that in half, so 23 is what you get to count for that. 2 bilingual. We have 330 kids identified at risk. That was basically free lunch, where that comes from. So that's why we had to republish, because on our open page we only put 300, and we had 30 more kids than we anticipated, so we had to republish from that. Transportation-wise, we have 103 kids that live at least 2.5 miles plus away from the school district that we transport, and then we have 61 that live closer than 2.5 miles that we transport. So we are required to transport anyone over 2.5 miles from their school building door, but we're not required to do 2.5, so, but we do. Then virtual, we counted 2 full-time and 1 part-time is what the audit counted for that. So, but that's what the budget was based on. The audit came out of that way from last year. So this is just some state assessment review, and I went over with this with the staff just to kind of give you an idea of where we were for last year's. You know, we'll do math, ELA, and science here, and level 4 is the highest level that you can have on the assessment performance level, where level 1 is the lowest of the level that you have. So you can see, compared to the state of Kansas for 2024, you can compare that where we're at district-wide. And what I really ask the staff to really look at is level 1 and 2. What can we do to get kids out of level 1 to level 2 and level 2 to level 3? What are those things? What are the things that we need to be doing? And so some of that came out of those conversations yesterday. So there's the information for math. ELA, we can see in different areas, we have a higher percent in level 2 compared to the state, but I mean, most of everybody was aware of this before I put this up yesterday, because the principals have talked about it. We got some work to do. So, but then science, as you can see on there, compared for last year, our district compared to today. And this is just district-wide. I didn't break it down by buildings or anything of that nature. They can do that with each of their buildings and what that looks like grade level, but this is just district-wide. Any questions about state assessments? Or if you have any questions anytime, feel free to stop me and I can do my best to answer those. So. Next is ACT scores. 2023, see we had a little bit of dip. Been pretty consistent of being close or above the state average, but this last year was a little lower than we typically are. So not sure why, but ACT is it's still a factor that's played in, but it's not really used for placement much anymore. Colleges are going away from that, but it still helps give you an idea of if you score 21 or better, you're probably ready for post-secondary success. And that's just a measure that they put out there. So this leads to some of the outcome information that we'll share with you based on the State Board of Ed outcomes. This is our post-secondary success, and basically what this is a measure of kids, the number of kids that graduate, the percent that they do that, and then that's what graduation rate is. So this is based on a 5-year average. So 21, 5 years prior, our average was 85%. The state was 88%. And we're going to show you something a little bit that's going to show you that that's going to go up for us. But success, the success rate is basically of the 85% that graduated, how many are still in a post-secondary institution, tech school, university, college of some sort, or have earned a certificate of some sort 2 years after they graduated high school. So of the 85, 56% are either in school or have earned a certificate, associate's degree, or something to that 2 years after they graduated. This does not factor in military. We just keep it raw for what it is because that's what the state does too. They don't factor in, so it's just a straight on comparison. We know people that probably go in the military are going to be successful, but they're not factored into this. People that go into working for a home, their home family business, farm or whatever, probably going to be successful in life, but that's not necessarily measured in there. But it really measures if you've earned a certificate, degree, or some type of certification, or you're still attending one of those post-secondary do that. So 56%, and then our effectiveness rate is basically those kids that are still 2 years after high school. Effective rate takes in your risk factors like chronic absenteeism, your socioeconomic status, just at risk in general, those risk factors. So the state says we should fall, based on our at-risk factors and the effectiveness, we should fall in a percentage confidence interval between 42.9 and 47. And we're at 48. We're above what we should, what the state predicts us to be at. So we're seeing trends go up in this. For the last few years, we're seeing that trend go up. So, but we're putting some pathways in. We're going to have kids already earn certificates in the construction pathway, so that's an automatic. We can count those kids because they've earned some type of certificate. Our Washburn Tech kids who graduate and finish and get certificates, those count, continue to count. So I only see this going up in the next few years as we trend that way because we're having to focus on that with our individual plans of study and different things of that nature. But this is just a 5-year average of where it's at, based in 2021 because it's 2 years out for your success. But that's the most recent data we can give you. Okay. So just some highlights from last school year. As you can see, we received a gold medal recognition from the State Department for 95% of higher for our graduation rate. So it's going to go up. We're above 90, I think what was 96 or 98 or something. I don't remember what the exact number was, but it's above. So that's going to help our post-secondary rate go up to have that. So we received a copper medal for being academically prepared for the 5th year in a row. So that's basically the measurement of our state assessments, how we're doing compared to others in the state. We continue to receive that recognition as a district. Talked about this construction pathway Josh created, working with Natasha and Shanna. 32 students were able to get credentialed in NCCER core. That's a national construction certification, something. But Josh has been trained in that, so he can issue certificates when kids show that they can use power tools. They can complete safety tests and do different things. So he could say, you've done this, you've shown competency, you get a certificate, and those kids could take those to a job site or something, or job, and say, I got these certificates, and maybe they get paid more because they don't have to put training into those kids because they have them already. Those things like that. But so we had in the first year, we had 32 students that were credentialed. County Spelling Bee for the 2nd year in a row for the district, representing the district, another Arbor Day poster contest winner. High school was recognized again for their Apply to Kansas Day, 2nd year in a row. We had our K kids present at the KSB annual conference and represented our district greatly. And then just various athletic and non-athletic successes that we had last year. So I'm just kind of pulling this all and painting the picture. I did this yesterday again for mainly accreditation with the staff, but this is just relating it back to kind of why the budget is the way it is. So, again, just a review of our mission statement. When we went through that last year and created it, we left the mission and all can achieve, condensed the vision to say each student will achieve success in life, career, and community. And we did that through some working with Dr. Hart to put that together. So it's been provided that vision for us as administration and the district. So, And then we established the 4 board goals. So I'm going to give some information about each goal as we go through there. These are in no particular order, but we have them in place. Something we will have to take some time this year to evaluate. Do we change goals? Do we keep these goals? Do we, modify the goals or whatever? We'll talk about that later. But that's what they are right now. So if you look at curriculum, instruction, and assessment, we added a student warehouse data called Panorama in the elementary. It's really taking all of our data and putting it in one warehouse on a computer basically, and giving good feedback for teachers on an individual classroom basis, a grade level basis, a building basis, and that, and then it gives you tools to help those kids based on their risk factors or the data that shows that. So it just doesn't, you don't have to think about all those things. Panorama does it for you. High school moved seminar and middle school moved the seminar to the end of the day. Saw some, I think, I don't know, would you say attendance was better overall with moving it? The 8th grade had to take the NAEP last year, the national test. So that gives us good information to go from and compare us to nationwide. We'll continue to work on the curriculum resource adoption schedule. We have it pretty well out of whack, but we're trying to bring it together so we make sure our resources are up to date. MTSS is strong at the elementary. We're looking for ways to create it and implement it at the middle school and high school in a way that makes sense to their schedules. At risk is always a factor, or we're using evidence-based practices to address at risk and the funding that we get for that. So we make sure we have to use those, like our Edgenuity would be an at risk for our online classes for credit recovery and things of that nature. So our funds go to that. And then KISA is going to play a large role, which I mentioned just a little bit ago, in the fundamentals is going to play a large role in curriculum assessment, in my opinion. That's really what Dr. Proctor is leading, where that focus should be on instruction and assessments and evaluating assessments to adapt your instruction. So KISA is going to push that a lot for us as it relates to this goal. Recruit, retain, and hire quality staff. We did our KISA needs assessment to get information back from staff, survey staff, and get that back for the building leadership team to help, kind of find our areas of focus. We took the ESU teacher retention survey. We had 100% participation by our staff. It was the second time that's done that. They've done it every 2 years. We use that information to really evaluate different aspects of where teachers are related to working here at USD420. We have a focus on certified salary schedule and classified salary schedules through negotiation. We've added some benefits for employees, classified and certified. We understand that there's a need there to help that. We had the supplemental index review committee and the calendar committee last year to help provide feedback to move forward on those things. So trying to create a place where people want to be, look at different options, and then the focus has been there, I believe, by the board as we go forward. Parent community engagement and relationships, that we provided an engagement survey for parents through the KISA process, so we got some good feedback from that to really analyze, and you'll see, I don't know if it's on here, but down the road you'll see where that comes into play. Build some relationships with Osage County Economic Development through the district to be a part of that. We're going through an early childhood center review, and we'll talk a little bit about that, give that update tonight, but really evaluating that if that's something, a component we need to add to the district. And it's been good conversations and do that. So we continue to provide opportunities for parents. We have a lot of involved parents, but where do we get them to be engaged? And we provide those opportunities, but it really is coaching them up to be a really engaged parent as opposed to just an involved parent. We'll have a lot of people here tomorrow night for back to school night. Are they just coming for the hot dogs? Or are they really coming for, I don't know. But those things, we have to evaluate that level of engagement of their kids learning and what part do they play in that. So we continue to try to provide those opportunities to go from involvement to engagement. So, and then lastly, just facilities alignment and alignment of services. We updated the HVAC in the high school with ESSER funds. We have a lot of HVAC issues we'll talk about in a second, but that was a big ticket item. We just went and saw the locker rooms. That was another big ticket item that we did this year, and then the new activity bus that we approved. It's not going to be here for a while, but some bigger things that we looked at that. But since I've been here, the city has been very willing to work with us on these projects or different things and help us out in looking at whether it's the football field or in this area. We have a strong relationship with the city of Osage City, so that's been good. And lining those moves. And just some things that are on the radar for considerations as we move forward. Our intercom has to be updated. That's a priority. As soon as school gets started, this is my main focus. We have safe and secure grants that help pay for some of that. Not all of it, but some of it. But it is a priority for the district to get that fixed and sync up with our phone system that we have. So cafeteria floor is something to consider. The dust collector in the wood shop, we've talked about that a little bit. Auditorium sound and lighting. I think lighting is more of a priority right now than sound. And so we're getting some quotes on this for us to consider. Based on the facility assessment that was done, the drainage issues that we continue to have around the building, but throughout the city is really a thing. And then, like I mentioned, HVAC updates. We spent a lot. You approved a lot of bills tonight for HVAC issues that we're having. Our units are getting old, so it's something we really have to think about and consider as we move forward, because we have 2 more big units like the one we just replaced that are the same age. So, and then roof repairs. It's always the issue. So we're gonna make a plan on that. We kind of have the plan. We just need to really decide what we're going to do on that. For some, overall, they're pretty good shape, but there are some that need some TLC as it relates to that. So just things to consider in our facilities moving forward. Any questions about updates for the board goals? Just information to consider.
You had mentioned Panorama being used in elementary. Is that a system that's only for elementary, or is that if it works so well at elementary, the thought is?
We're test driving in elementary and then build it up to the middle school or both high school as we do that. So we want to kind of get our legs under it. It's a lot, and we felt like just having the focus right now in the elementary with Mr. Infro's help on that. It's kind of, we can get it to work, and then we'll look to implement it at the high school, middle school.
Love it. And then you said, what's MTSS? Sorry, it was
Multi-tiered systems of support. So you have 3 levels where you teach all, would be level 3. Is that level 3?
No, it's tier 1.
Tier 1, thank you, tier 1. I'm thinking so tier 1. So then kids that don't get it in tier 1, they move to level 2. What are interventions that we're doing? And then if you have that tier 3, which they just need more help. And so they have, work in small groups, do different things. In the elementary, they do a great job. Again, just our system's not great. In the high school, it's across the state and the nation to do MTSS. But it's really, you teach all, then you adapt. Those that didn't get it, what are we going to do? Those that really don't get it, what do we really need to do for them? So, but you see that it's that triangle because it just gets fewer and fewer kids. So, you have a comment?
No.
Is the Panorama playing an integral part in the MTSS to ensure that you guys are capturing everything?
I think that it will. I think that our staff probably just needs more training in Panorama.
Okay.
But probably the good thing about Panorama is that, like, if I want to know how little Johnny did in kindergarten and the first grade teacher asked me, that's pretty much what we do now. How is little Johnny doing? Oh, he's doing pretty good, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
In Panorama, if we have all that information in Panorama, we don't have to worry about that. All of that data transfers from kindergarten to first grade to second grade. Whereas right now in Power School, it's just in kindergarten. And then once they move to first grade, boop, everything disappears. So that's what's unique about Panorama, is all of that data will transfer with them as long as they're in your same school system.
Okay.
Or if somebody else has Panorama.
So how long have we been using Panorama?
Just started.
This is just our second year.
Second year?
Yeah.
So it will provide interventions for teachers so they don't have to try to think of things, but we're not there yet in that part of it. But we're still making sure the data looks good and it's cleaned up and we're ready to move it on. But it will eventually get to where interventions will be provided that, hey, here's some interventions that might work based on what you're teaching or whatever.
Is that something that will replace Power School down the road?
No, Power School is an student information. This is kind of an outside component that takes on a bunch of different data points to put it in what makes sense for teachers.
Yeah, and what in Panorama, like Ames Web in the elementary school, so all that data gets pulled into Panorama. All of the state assessments get pulled into Panorama. Any behavior issues get pulled in from Power School into Panorama. So if really a teacher just wants to get an overall view of what the student is like, all they have to do is go to Panorama, click on that student, and it tells them pretty much everything about that student. Attendance, grades, behaviors, interventions. Are there any notes from teachers from way back when? I mean, it has everything in there.
I suppose that Power School just sits there.
Yeah.
It's not interactive, really.
Yeah.
Is that a system that parents will be able to access then to see how their student's doing?
Remember the
What's
parent?
the interface
I don't know about that.
I don't remember that. I can check into that.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Thank
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
Just a thought as far as getting parents from involved to engage.
I think that you can access some of it, but
Yeah, I
some
can't
of
remember what that
it you can't
was.
access, if I remember from what our presenter said.
Yeah, I can't remember understanding.
Yeah, but it is a really good program. I will be honest with you, we just have not had some of the time, to be honest with you, to really implement it with fidelity. I mean, it's something that we really think it's going to be great, but it is a little time consuming right now for us to implement entirely.
Thank you.
Good. So now we get to the budget part of things. To start looking at the general fund, again, this is just for informational purposes. Our assessed valuation for the general fund was just over 29 million. If you look at last year, the assessed valuation was just over 32 million. So it went down for general fund. Overall, the assessment did, assessments did for evaluations, sorry. But the base per student, which is the FTE, so however, we have 600 some kids, you take that times this number and that helps build the budget along with other risks, other weightings and things that go into that Form 150, which we'll talk about in a minute. But if you look at that, last year we were at 5,088 per student and we're at 5,378. And that's based on the consumer price index, and it's a factor they put in there to make that base what it is. So compared to last year, we're looking at 274,737 estimate of new money. That's just an estimate. Again, we have to get to the end of the year to really look at that. But so overall, if you look at Form 150 and you add all the weightings and everything, the general fund budget will be just over 7 million for the estimate of authority that we'll have in that budget. You'll be able to see that on the Code 99 and the Form 150, how they get to that. But it's a lot to go into. If you ever want to sit down and talk one-on-one, I'll be happy to do that. So that's general fund. So again, assessment gone down, but the base went up a little bit per student to help us with that. If you look at LB, the supplemental general fund, the assessment did go up in that, so that's for all funds. It's part of general fund, but other funds that are part of that. And so last year it was just over 39 million. Now it's just over 40.5 million for assessed evaluation for our district as a whole. The base, they also have a base for LOB. You can see where it went up from 5,158 to 5,452. And from that, again, for the factor that you'll see on 140, that'll get us just almost at 2.3 million in estimated budget authority for supplemental general as we go through that. So it puts it all in there, and the spreadsheet does its miracles and all of that, but it builds it to look at that. So, and you'll be able to see the comparison on Code 99, which we'll talk about. So that's where we start from. We look at general and supplemental to build the budget, and then we go from there to fill in the rest. So if you look in the Code 99, what's in there now is general fund is always 20 mils. If you look at revenue neutral, based on assessed evaluation going down for the general fund, it shows that we should have been above 20 mils. It's like 22 point something to be revenue neutral, but there's nothing we can do about that. 20 mils is 20 mils for the general budget. So a mil is basically what the assessed evaluation was, which was 29. Take that times 1,000, do your math. So it's about 29,000 is 1 mil for the district. If that makes sense. So, but it'll stay 20,000. So we're looking at about 582,316 in taxes locally to be raised for the general fund. The LOB, when we factor that in there, what's being recommended is the 18.126 mils on the Code 99, which would be about 736,000 in taxes for that fund. The capital outlay mill, that's staying the same compared to last year at 5.5 mils. You can see where it's going to generate just 223,000 locally. We did lower bond and interest mills some slightly compared to last year. With this bond going off, with the bond A going off, we're able to reduce those mills. We'll probably be able to reduce them a little more next year as well. So that way we see some reduction in the mills moving forward. But we'll be able to pay off that one, and we'll just have the one left, which is just over $4 million, I think, that we'll have left to pay off on that. So that's what's in the budget right now as it relates to that. I don't have it in front of me, but I can pull it up. So, but if you look at in factoring the budget in going into this coming year, our local assessment went up around $125,000. You have to factor in that. Our insurance premiums went up about $10,000 or $7,000, excuse me, and utilities were about 10%, and whatever salaries end up for locally where that comes in, you factor those in to do that to make sure our budget does what it needs to do to provide for that. So we're in good shape, have been for years in our budget. Fred always compliments where we're at with our budget. It came together nicely. But things to think about as we go forward. Other budget items that I provided for you, again, the Form 150 for you to review in there is basically how they factor the weightings for CTE, for at-risk, for transportation, all those factors that go in there, and then that helps build the budget through the spreadsheet. And so it breaks it down so you can see what's going into each cash balances trends, you can see that we've been pretty consistent and making sure that it's been strong for the district. You know, cash is what we have to spend when we, you know, in each fund. So we make sure we have plenty in there to make sure we pay our bills, and we've had no issues with that moving forward. The open page that's provided for you as well is basically how the budget is built. It's a guess for us. We guess what our enrollment's going to be. We guess what our at-risk is going to be. We, you know, virtual, we're just taking it, it's just an estimate of what we're trying to do so we can build the budget from there. Like last year, estimated 300 kids at risk, free and reduced. We had 330. We needed to republish to take advantage of those 30 kids for risk factors that we had in there. So we went with 330 this year, thinking we could be around there the same. But it's just an estimate guess that helps build the budget as in there.
Are we getting the free and reduced, the applications that we need to?
Yeah, I'll
Help
get you to
support
work
that.
on Friday with them, but
Okay.
we've gotten quite a few in.
Yeah, with the enrollment, online enrollment, we see them, they come in pretty quick after that, but we'll still have a few that we'll make sure we'll get out there and make available, so. The statement of indebtedness is on there as well. It shows that we're coming off the 2012A is coming off. And like I said, it was just over $4 million that we have left to pay off on the bonds. And I think 2030 is when the estimated payoff is for those to be done with. And then lastly, provided for you is the district needs assessment for your review. The state legislature says the board needs to review this information to help make decisions about the budget. What's provided in that spreadsheet for you is information from a needs assessment based on feedback from the administration of needs that are needed to help build the budget. And we're always talking, so we have those things, we understand that. And the other component of that is state assessment review. What was that information for you to review in there? And so you have it in one place to help you make decisions about the budget. So that's for you to have available to review. So we have our budget hearing next month. We'll start off with the revenue neutral hearing, and then immediately following that, we'll have the budget hearing to do that. We have some things we're required to do. We'll make sure we'll have those ready with our resolution. It is a roll call vote for the R&R, so not that we just do that anyway, so it won't be anything new for us as we move forward. Any questions about the budget in general? Yeah, just information tonight. And
So when we republished in May, we can get new authority on the general, but we can, once we go with our original budget, LOB stays where it's at, and we never get the opportunity.
yeah, whatever land or whatever was exempt from mill levy assessment and do that. The state legislature increased that to $75,000 per home or land. So there's $30,000 that's not being part of that. So again, that's why it went down a little bit, which increased that mill, the general fund mill 22.2 to make it to be revenue neutral.
Offset it.
But we have no control over that. But anything in that, the state will make up, because they have an obligation to make that up. So we should be fine on that with the 20 mils. But yeah, good point, I forgot about that, thank you. So if you, sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna ask, so you talked about, that we paid off bond A, so what did we use the 2 bonds for? What did those cover?
The bond project.
Bond A was, I believe, the original bond for the high school, middle school from the 2000 project.
Okay.
And we refinanced that when we did the project in 2012, and that would have been bond B. So we refinanced bond A at a better rate and did bond B for the second project. Is that right?
Which was the gym and some upgrades in
The,
At the
Elementary.
elementary.
in the sports complex.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But if you want to meet, we can get into the details of it. I'm happy to meet with you and go through that. But I think if you need more, let me know. So I'm finally getting the hang of it after a few years doing it. I took a break at my last stop, but all right. I think that's all.
Thank you for that.
Yes, thank you. Natasha?
All right, ready to move on? Yes. Music donation.
So Dr. Johnson reached out to the Jones Foundation to help with getting some funds for updating the robe, getting new robes or getting that for the choir, and then some music. The Jones Foundation said they weren't taking applications or something anymore, so they referred him to this other foundation, the Hopkins Foundation, and he submitted a request, and he's been approved for that. So just making the recommendation to approve the acceptance of that award, that grant in the amount of
$7,768.23.
yeah, so that would be robes and some updated music, as I shared with you there.
Any questions on that?
Appreciate Dr. Johnson taking the initiative to get that done.
Absolutely. I'd like to make a motion to accept the donation for the music program for robes and music, sheet music, in the amount of $7,768.23.
Second.
Eppenstall.
Aye.
Baker.
Aye.
Linton.
Aye.
Peterson.
Aye.
Bumwire.
Aye.
Tice.
Hi.
Three Lakes report.
Three Lakes report. It was a pretty light meeting, beginning of the school, typical things. We approved several handbooks for the 24-25 year, including the Medicare handbook, the Frameworks handbook, and the certified and classified handbooks, along with transportation policies and work agreement for the hybrid remote workers that they have, employees that they have. We approved the assistant director contract. And again, about it. The next meeting is going to be over in Burlingame, so we can tour the new Frameworks building over there. The September meeting will be in Burlingame.
Did they get all moved in and settled? Or?
I think they have, yeah.
I don't know how settled they are, but
Yeah, they're in there, yeah.
They started
Yeah.
yesterday or Wednesday. Or
Did they start
whatever.
when Burlingame started?
They started.
Yeah, when Burlingame started. So.
Fantastic. All right. Building reports. Anyone have questions about them? Everything's looking pretty good so far.
Looked like there was a lot of changes with enrollment. Several classes dropped quite a bit. Like, was there a reason for that trend, or?
I mean, we don't have it finalized. We don't really know till Friday to who really shows up, and we still have some families that haven't enrolled, and so we always have that every year. So it's hard to guess the trend. Typically, you're pretty flat, in districts. So, but having only 29 kindergartners is is that right?
Yep, 29.
So that's a concern.
That's
So,
very low.
but again, population growth for Osage County is going to drop.
Yeah.
And we're going to see that in the next 5 years. And I think that's the start of it. That's my opinion. But we won't, these are just, again, as of today, I put those together, those enrollment numbers that I have for you, but we still have some families we haven't contacted at the high school, waiting on a couple at the middle school and at the elementary, I think, that we haven't heard back from. So we've got several new students, but we just got a few we're still waiting on, so.
So it's like the pre-K 3 dropped like 20.
Yeah, so you look at that 4, they're taking up a lot of those spots,
They're
so.
only taking 10, so
Yeah.
that's the question of why are we losing 20 but only getting 10?
We do try and keep those numbers fairly low, just because the second semester, we end up having some of those 2 and 3/4-year-olds come in, just in case they need IEPs or have IEPs, that kind of thing. So we do try and keep those to 10, so that's why those numbers are probably like 7 and 8 right now.
Okay, gotcha. That makes sense. Yeah.
The good thing is pre-K 4 has 41, so that's a little bit better than our 29 in kindergarten.
That's what I was thinking when Ted was talking about
Yeah.
our population dropping. I was like, but the next class.
Right, I mean, that's just, you see that,
disaster,
yeah,
so,
it's just the way it seems to work. You have big class, small class, big class, small class.
Yeah,
It just,
true. Very true.
I don't know if anybody has an answer for that.
Thank you.
Are these interns from Emporia State gonna be first semester all year?
These are, it'll just be the fall semester, and they are block 2. So they have to do, we only see them 3 days during the week, because the other 2 days during the week, they have to take classes at Emporia State. So anytime you have a block 2 intern, that's probably the toughest block that they have to actually do or endure as a future teacher. Block 3 is a lot easier, just because you're at the school the whole time. You're not taking, you are doing some classwork, but it's not like going back to Emporia State on campus to do that work. So, yeah.
Do we ever get student teachers in the middle school and high school?
We do occasionally. A lot of them, it's a little different than the elementary ones. I mean, they just do a semester of student teaching instead of 3 blocks. So it's a little bit different, but a lot of them tend to stay around if they're from Emporia State, they tend to stay around Emporia more, but we'll get one every now and then. It just depends on where they want to go.
See them a lot more in the elementary school, so
Yeah.
just didn't know if that was a.
I think there's a trend too, you'll see a lot more elementary, call it like elementary teachers who are going to college than secondary.
Any other questions about building reports? All right, superintendent report.
So you see the enrollment update, it showed you where we were at 5-1 of last year, and then the comparison to where we were as of today. Again, it'll fluctuate. I'll give you another update in September as we get closer to the September 20th is when it counts. You know, you're here, then that goes towards our count for our full-time equivalency. So we were 699 last year on 5-1 and 676. So we know there's a few kids still out there that I'm sure they'll just show up and say, we're ready to go to school, but we haven't enrolled. So, but that's where we're at as it relates to enrollment. So we'll keep you updated as we get those numbers more solidified.
What did we start last year off with? I don't remember. Was it close to that 699 number? Or?
We had that, we were at 822, we were 701 head count. If you, that tab on the bottom.
Oh, I don't see
23,
that.
24, so
I zoomed in too much.
that's fine, yeah. But, so hopefully we'll have some show up that haven't enrolled. All right, first day of school. So far it's been a good week. Started out with orientation on Monday for some new staff, getting those things lined out with them. Tuesday we started off with a speaker from Siblings Improv. Talked about the play method and how that can be, but an acronym PLAY, and went through that with the staff to really look at. He had a great message to really kind of get you focused into the year and did that. And then we did our standard stuff with some emergency operations update. They had their building level meetings, did some Infintech training, and then I don't know what the acronym was, I can't think, but
Kisa.
yeah, KISA. Yeah, I did a presentation on KISA and got some good feedback for the BLT, so we get ready to go through that process for year 1. We have our check-in in September. We'll do our Student School Improvement Day in October, where we meet with other districts, so we need to be working on our action plan to have that ready to go for this year. So Today was a lot of professional development, letters training, we hosted that, had a good turnout for that, had IXL training, had Character Strong training, then had other meetings in the afternoon, so time for the teachers to work on their Infinitec or get in the room. Tomorrow's a work day, teachers getting ready, then we'll have our back to school night, starting at 5. So want to stop by, have a hot dog. Mr. Reeman and I are grilling up some dogs, and so no promises, but so we'll have that 5 to 7, and then kids come on Friday for half day, dismiss at 11:30, and then the rest of the day is a work day, just kind of finish out the week, and then ready for a full week next week. So it's been a good start. I appreciate everybody's efforts. Pam helped with our breakfasts and things the last 2 days. The church is going to provide some refreshments in the morning, and Patty's been a big help just getting things going. So been a good start to the school year and ready for kids. I'm ready to have some kids around here. It's been a while. So bus routes. So I've given you some information about that, and so we have a plan in place right now. As you know, we've lost the green route was open. We have some teachers step up, and our Washburn Tech driver. She's going to do the afternoon route, our Washburn Tech driver. So she'll do the afternoon green route. And then we're going to split the morning green route between Mrs. Kirkpatrick, Mrs. Bailey, and Mrs. Lieber. They're going to do 2-1-2, with Heather being her first year in the classroom. She's only getting Wednesday right now, but she'll kind of be a sub if she needs to. And we'll continue to look for someone to help fill that route and do that. But they've stepped up and willing to help out. It's going to make it a long day for them, but I really appreciate them doing that. Orange route, Chris Kirkpatrick's going to do the morning that to replace Debbie Parsons, and then Jessie will do the afternoon route like she's always done. Dee will do blue route. Sandy Lopez will continue to do the yellow route, and then Alan and Chris will tag team the red route, and then Laura Walquist will do preschool route. Frameworks, we're working through that. We have one student going, so we're working on the details for that. And then our tech routes are taken care of, so let's hope we don't forget anybody on Friday. That's my biggest worry, is we miss somebody, but we'll get them picked up and get them to school, so we'll do the best. But I appreciate the drivers and their work to get the routes set and get that done. And activities, Mr. Reeman and Coach Ganmine will be working with the drivers on that to make sure our activities are scheduled and try to share the love with that. But we're coming together on our transportation, so. Early childhood update. I've shared some information with you guys to kind of show you where they're at. Still a lot of preliminary things going on. We have what we have left to do is our town hall. That'll be August 28th. So we'll start sending out some invites and things to open house, not an open house, I guess, just to really kind of show where the architects and just get some feedback from the community as we do that. And then we'll have a building level committee meeting just to kind of finalize and really talk about next steps. And then in September, along with the hearings, Bobby Pearson and her group will be here to kind of present this to the board, give some feedback, and we'll start having discussions of what are we going to do? What are our options? And I'll bring some to the table for the board to consider, open to those suggestions. But we'll have a really detailed conversation next month as it relates to Early Childhood Center and what the possibilities are there. So, but we'll have that open house in the cafeteria or not open house, but
Town hall.
Town hall, thank you. Town hall in the cafeteria on August 28th. So. And this, for your information, I'm going to provide a letter of support to the city of Osage. They're applying for a Safe Routes to School grant to help with some sidewalks, not just around the school, but throughout the community. So just showing our support for that. I think the city did that a while back. They did a Safe Routes to School, and that's why some of the sidewalks look pretty good around here. I think that was some of that. But they know they have some needs elsewhere, so they're going to look for some funding for that. So I'll be sharing a letter of support with them as we do that. So just gearing up for the first of the year, start the school year. Been busy, but we're ready to go. So that's my report.
Did you say what time that town hall is?
Let me call on my calendar. I think it's 6:30, but I'm not sure. $6 o'clock, excuse me, 6 o'clock in the cafeteria.
All right. Any questions? No? I move that we go into executive session to discuss supplemental positions, certified positions, and classified positions pursuant to the non-elected personnel exception under COMA. And the open meeting will resume here in the boardroom at, say, 8:15 with the superintendent present, please.
Second.
Sorry.
Heppenstall.
Aye.
Fagan.
Aye.
Linton.
Aye.
Peterson.
Aye.
Lohmeyer.
Aye.
Tice.
Hi.